The sun was setting over the small, dusty town where two brothers, just 10 years old, lived with their mother in a tiny, worn-down house. The boys were twins, identical in appearance but different in the way they expressed themselves. One was more talkative, while the other was quiet but observant. Their mother, a hard-working woman who had raised them alone, had fallen seriously ill. The doctor said she needed medicine, but the family had no money. The twins had only one toy they truly cherished, a red toy car, slightly scratched but still special. It was the only gift their late father had given them before he passed away. They played with it every day, imagining adventures on long roads they had never seen. But now, their mother's health was more important than any toy. One evening, as she coughed weakly in bed, the boys exchanged a look. Without saying a word, they both knew what they had to do. The next morning, they took the toy car to the local market, their small hands clutching it tightly. They found a spot near an old tree and placed the toy on the ground, hoping someone would buy it. Hours passed. People walked by without stopping. The twins didn't know how to sell things, they just sat there, their hope fading. Then, an elderly man paused and asked how much they wanted for the car. The boys hesitated before whispering, "Enough for our mother's medicine." The man's eyes softened. He reached into his pocket and gave them a small amount, not much, but something. The twins thanked him and rushed to the pharmacy, only to find out it wasn't enough. Their hearts sank. As they walked back home, the quiet twin suddenly stopped. "What if we try again tomorrow?" he said. His brother nodded. They had to keep trying. That night, as their mother slept, they whispered about their plan. They didn't know it yet, but their struggle had been seen by someone unexpected, a man in a sleek car who had watched them from a distance. A man who would change their lives forever. The next morning, the twins woke up early. Their mother was still weak, but she managed a smile when she saw them. They didn't tell her about selling the toy car, they didn't want her to worry. Instead, they promised to be back soon and left the house with the little money they had, hoping to find a way to earn more. The market was already bustling when they arrived. This time, they didn't just sit and wait. The more talkative twin called out softly, "Toy car for sale. Good condition." His voice was unsure at first, but he kept trying. A few people glanced their way, but no one stopped. Then, a woman with a kind face paused. She picked up the toy car, examining it. "This is a nice one," she said. "Why are you selling it?" The quiet twin looked down. "For our mom," he mumbled. The woman's expression changed. She reached into her bag and pulled out a few more notes than the toy was worth. "Here," she said gently. "I hope your mother feels better soon." The twins' eyes lit up. This was enough for the medicine. They thanked her repeatedly and ran to the pharmacy, their hearts pounding with hope. But when they got there, the pharmacist shook his head. "This covers only half," he said. "The rest must be paid by tomorrow, or the medicine won't be reserved for you." The boys stood frozen. They had nothing left to sell. As they walked back home, shoulders slumped, they didn't notice the sleek black car following them at a distance. Inside the car, a man in a crisp suit watched them closely. He had seen them the day before, sitting under the tree with their toy. He had watched them today, trying so hard. Something about their determination reminded him of his own childhood, a past he rarely spoke about. His driver glanced back. "Sir, should we stop?" The man hesitated, then nodded. "Pull over." The car rolled to a stop near the twins. The window rolled down, and the man leaned forward. "Boys," he called. Startled, the twins turned. They had never seen such a fancy car up close. The man's voice was calm but firm. "I saw you at the market. Why are you selling your toy?" The talkative twin swallowed hard. "Our mom is sick. We need money for her medicine." The man studied them for a long moment. Then, he did something unexpected. He stepped out of the car and crouched to their eye level. "What's your mother's name?" he asked. The quiet twin answered this time, his voice barely above a whisper. The man's expression softened. "Get in," he said. "I'll take you home." The twins hesitated. Stranger danger had been drilled into them. But something in the man's eyes felt safe. After a brief silent exchange, they nodded. As the car pulled away, neither of them knew that this chance encounter would change everything. The inside of the car smelled like leather and something faintly sweet, maybe the man's cologne. The twins sat stiffly, their hands clutching their worn-out backpack. The man didn't speak at first, just watched the road ahead with an unreadable expression. Finally, the talkative twin gathered his courage. "Are you taking us home?" The man glanced at him. "Yes. But first, I want to see your mother." The quiet twin tensed. "Why?" A small smile touched the man's lips. "Because I think I can help." The car turned onto their street, and the twins' tiny house came into view, peeling paint, a sagging roof, but home. The man's face didn't change, but his fingers tightened slightly around the steering wheel. When they entered, their mother was sitting up in bed, her eyes widening at the sight of a stranger in a suit. "Who?" The man stepped forward. "Ma'am, your sons were trying to sell their toy car to buy your medicine." The mother's face crumpled. She pulled the boys close, her voice breaking. "You shouldn't have done that. That car was..." From their father, the man finished quietly, as if he already knew. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a business card. "I run a pharmaceutical company. Your son's determination moved me. I'd like to cover all your medical expenses." The room fell silent. The twins stared. Their mother's hands trembled as she took the card. "This is too much. We can't possibly repay." The man shook his head. "No repayment. Just promise me one thing." He looked at the boys. "Keep the toy car." Later, as the man's car pulled away, the twins stood in the doorway, their minds racing. The quiet twin suddenly spoke up. "He never told us his name." Inside, their mother was staring at the business card, her breath shaky. The boys crowded around her. On the card, under a fancy logo, was a name they'd never heard before, but their mother recognized it instantly. Her eyes filled with tears. "Mom?" the talkative twin asked nervously. "What's wrong?" She wiped her cheeks. "Nothing's wrong. It's just... I think I know why he helped us." The twins sat on the edge of their mother's bed, their small faces full of questions. The quiet one reached out and touched her hand. "Mom, how do you know that man?" She took a deep breath, folding the business card between her fingers like it was something fragile. "A long time ago," she began, "before you were born, your father worked at a factory. It was hard work, but he never complained." Her voice grew softer. "One winter, the factory shut down. No warning, no pay, just locked doors." The talkative twin frowned. "What does that have to do with the man in the car?" Their mother looked out the window, as if searching for the right words. "The owner of that factory was a wealthy man. He didn't care about the workers, only profits. But his son was different." She turned the card over in her hands. "That man today, he was the owner's son. He must have recognized our last name when you told him." The boys exchanged glances. The quiet twins' eyes narrowed. "So, he felt guilty?" Their mother sighed. "Maybe. Or maybe he remembered how his father's choices hurt people. He left town years ago. Rumor was he started his own company, one that treated workers fairly." She tucked the card into the drawer beside her bed. "Whatever his reason, we should be grateful." Meanwhile, the man sat in the back of his car, staring at his phone. His driver glanced at him in the mirror. "Everything all right, sir?" The man didn't answer right away. He was thinking about the tiny house, the sick woman, the boys selling their last treasure. He remembered his father's cold voice the day he'd shut the factory. Sentiment has no place in business. His fingers tightened around his phone. He opened his contacts and dialed a number. When the voice on the other end answered, he said simply, "I need the best doctor in the city to make a house call today." Back at the house, the twins were cleaning up their small kitchen when a knock came at the door. They froze. No one ever visited unless it was the landlord, and that was never good. The talkative twin peeked through the curtain. His eyes widened. "It's him again. And there's a doctor with him." Their mother tried to stand, but the quiet twin stopped her. "Let me." He opened the door slowly. The man from the car stood there, but he wasn't alone. Beside him was an older woman with a medical bag, and behind them, a delivery truck. 2 workers were already unloading boxes. Food. Medicine. Even a new heater. The man met the boy's stunned gaze. "Your mother deserves proper care," he said simply. Then, to everyone's shock, he rolled up his sleeves. "Where should we start?" The twins stood frozen in the doorway as the workers carried in box after box. The talkative one pinched his own arm to make sure he wasn't dreaming. The quiet twin watched the man closely, the way he directed the workers with quiet authority, but also how his eyes kept flickering to their mother's frail form in the bed. Their mother finally found her voice. "This is too much," she protested weakly. "We can't accept." The doctor, a no-nonsense woman with silver-streaked hair, interrupted gently. "Ma'am, let's focus on getting you better first." She was already unpacking her bag, pulling out a stethoscope. The man from the car, the CEO, knelt beside the twins' toy chest. He picked up the red car they'd tried to sell, running his thumb over the scratches. "You really were going to give this up," he murmured, more to himself than to them. The quiet twin edged closer. "You knew our dad." It wasn't a question. The man's shoulders stiffened for a second before he set the car down carefully. "I met him once. At the factory." He didn't elaborate, but his jaw tightened. Outside, the delivery men brought in a small space heater, instantly warming the drafty room. The talkative twin tugged at the CEO's sleeve. "Mister? Why are you really helping us?" Before the man could answer, a sudden coughing fit from their mother made everyone turn. The doctor snapped into action, helping her sit up. When the coughing subsided, the mother's face was pale and clammy. The CEO moved quickly. He pulled out his phone and spoke in a low, urgent tone. "I need an ambulance at this address. Now." Then, to the shocked twins, "She needs a hospital. Proper equipment." The quiet twins' eyes filled with tears for the first time in years. "But the medicine, you said." "I said I'd help," the man corrected firmly. "And this is what help looks like." 20 minutes later, as paramedics carefully loaded their mother into an ambulance, the twins stood clutching each other's hands. The CEO crouched in front of them. "Listen carefully. That's St. Mary's Hospital, the best. Your mother will get every test, every treatment she needs." He pressed a card into the talkative twin's palm. "This is my personal number. Call anytime." The quiet twin swallowed hard. "We still don't know your name." For the first time, the man smiled, really smiled. It changed his whole face. "It's on the card. But you can call me uncle if that's easier." Then, to everyone's astonishment, he climbed into the ambulance after their mother. "Coming?" he asked the boys. As the ambulance doors closed, the twins exchanged a look. Neither understood what was happening, but for the first time in months, they felt something unfamiliar: hope. The hospital smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. The twins sat stiffly in plastic chairs outside their mother's room, watching doctors and nurses rush in and out. The CEO, Uncle, had disappeared down the hallway half an hour ago, talking in hushed tones with a group of serious-looking men in white coats. The talkative twin fidgeted with the business card in his hands. "Do you think Mom's gonna be okay?" he whispered. Before his brother could answer, the door to their mother's room opened. A young nurse stepped out, her face unreadable. "Boys? The doctor wants to speak with you." Inside, their mother lay propped up on pillows, her skin nearly as white as the sheets. Machines beeped softly around her. The CEO stood at the foot of the bed, his arms crossed tightly. The silver-haired doctor cleared her throat. "Good news first, we can treat your mother's condition." "But," she hesitated, "it's more serious than we thought. She'll need specialized care for several weeks." The quiet twin's stomach dropped. "Weeks? But, our house. School. Who'll take care of?" "I will." The CEO's voice cut through the room. He met their shocked stares. "You'll stay at my place. Closer to the hospital. Your teachers will send assignments." He said it like it was already decided. Their mother weakly shook her head. "We can't possibly." "You'd do the same," the CEO said quietly, "if our places were swapped." Something in his tone made the room go still. The twins exchanged glances. There was history here, real, raw history, but before they could ask, a loud commotion erupted in the hallway. A red-faced man in an expensive suit burst into the room, followed by two flustered security guards. "There you are," he snarled, pointing at the CEO. "Skipping board meetings to play hero for some random family? The media's already sniffing around." The twins shrank back as the stranger's angry gaze landed on them. "And who are these street rats?" The CEO moved faster than anyone expected. In 2 strides, he had the man by the collar, shoving him back into the hallway. The door slammed shut behind them, but the twins could still hear the CEO's furious hiss, "That's John Sharma's family." The name hit the boys like a lightning bolt. John Sharma, their father. The quiet twin was halfway to the door when the CEO stormed back in, his knuckles white. He took one look at their faces and sighed. "You deserve the truth." The hospital waiting room had emptied except for the twins and the CEO. The angry man had been escorted out by security, but his words still hung in the air like smoke. The CEO sank into a chair across from the boys, running a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looked exhausted. "Your father," he began, then stopped. He reached into his wallet and pulled out a faded photo, a group of factory workers smiling in front of a brick building. He pointed to a young man in the back row. "That's him, isn't it?" The twins leaned in. Their father looked so young in the photo, his arms slung around another worker's shoulders. The quiet twin's finger trembled as he touched the image. "You did know him." "Not well," the CEO admitted. "But I never forgot him." His voice dropped. "That winter when my father shut the factory, your dad was the one who stood up. Said families would starve. My father had him thrown out." The talkative twins' eyes widened. "That's why you're helping us? Because you feel bad?" "No." The CEO's jaw tightened. "Because he was right." He pulled another photo from his wallet, a newspaper clipping showing a factory engulfed in flames. 2 weeks after the layoffs, there was a fire. Faulty wiring my father refused to fix. Your dad and 4 others broke in to save the night watchman trapped inside. He looked directly at them. Your father carried 2 people out before the roof collapsed. The quiet twin made a small, wounded sound. Their mother had never told them this. The CEO's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then stood abruptly. "Your mother's awake." She's asking for you. As the boys jumped up, he added quietly, she made me promise not to tell you about the fire. Said your dad wouldn't have wanted you to know he died a hero. Their mother's hospital room was dim when they entered. The machines beeped steadily now, her color slightly better. She opened her arms weakly, and the twins rushed to hug her, careful of the 4 lines. You talked to him, she murmured. I can see it on your faces. The quiet twin pressed his forehead against her shoulder. Why didn't you tell us how Dad really died? Her breath hitched. I wanted to protect you from the pain. And the anger. She looked past them to where the CEO stood in the doorway. But it seems the past has a way of catching up. The CEO stepped forward. The press knows I'm here. By tomorrow, this story will be everywhere. He took a deep breath. Which means it's time to make things right, publicly. The talkative twin frowned. What does that mean? Instead of answering, the CEO pulled out his phone and showed them a live news feed. The headline made both boys gasp. Millionaire CEO exposes father's deadly factory neglect, vows compensation for victims' families. The news vans arrived at dawn. The twins watched from the hospital window as reporters crowded the entrance, their microphones gleaming in the early light. Downstairs, the CEO, now flanked by lawyers, stood at a podium, his voice steady as he detailed his father's negligence. Cameras flashed when he announced the Sharma family would receive full financial support, including a new home near the hospital. The quiet twin turned to his mother. Are we really going to live in his house? She squeezed his hand. For a little while. Until I'm stronger. 3 months later, spring had come to the city. The twins' mother, now recovering, tended flowers on the balcony of their temporary apartment, a sleek high-rise owned by the CEO's company. The red toy car sat proudly on the mantel, its scratches polished. The CEO visited often, always bringing books for the boys or special teas for their mother. He never spoke of the scandal again, though the twins saw it sometimes in his eyes, the weight of what his family had done. One evening, as they all sat watching the sunset, the talkative twin broke the silence. What happens now? The CEO studied the toy car on the shelf. However you want. Your mother's job at the library is waiting. You've got scholarships to any school in the city. He hesitated. Or, you could come with me. The boys froze. Where? Home. My real home, in the countryside. Good schools. Fresh air. He looked at their mother. And the best doctors on retainer. The quiet twin held his breath. This man wasn't just repaying a debt anymore. He was offering something rarer, family. Their mother's eyes welled up as she reached for the CEO's hand. The toy car caught the light, its red paint glowing like embers, a small thing saved, just like them.